Hi, everyone.
Hey, I was having trouble seeing if we were on yet. How are you guys doing? Welcome to Hot Talk Topic Tuesday. Trish and April here as usual. And in this month we're talking about hormones, all things related to the female hormones. And the month is almost over. I can't even believe that. And today we're going to show some love to progesterone. I feel like we spend more time talking about estrogen in general. So it's good to talk about progesterone because it definitely helps to balance out estrogen. And we are going to talk about 8 key points today. So the title is The Power of Progesterone and Why It's Key for Women's Health. So I'm going to go ahead and take the first four. April's going to take the second four. And hopefully, when you leave, you will have a better understanding of progesterone and how it is important to our overall hormone balance. All right, so what is progesterone? Progesterone is a critical hormone. It's produced mainly in the second half of our cycle, which we call the luteal phase, and its primary role is preparing the body for pregnancy. It also plays a broader role in women's health, particularly in perimenopausal women, and I'm sure we'll get to some of the topics that address that. And that's honestly probably when we started taking more note of it because it impacts you a little bit more in the perimenopause phase. Um, Especially in mood balance, sleep, which we'll get into those. So progesterone and hormone balance, why is it important? So progesterone balances estrogen. Progesterone works closely with estrogen, balancing its effects. I heard this has been years since I've heard this, but I heard somebody refer to progesterone and estrogen as fraternal twins or fraternal sisters that were very different but depended on each other. Because estrogen is kind of like the wild sister, the one that's like more brave, wild, kind of always up for a good time, ready to party. And progesterone is the more, maybe timid, a little quieter. And I love the analogy he used because he's like, progesterone kind of comes in to settle estrogen down. Like estrogen gets a little crazy. And if we let estrogen go too crazy or too wild and we don't have the progesterone coming in to settle down, you've got a little chaos happening. So we don't want that. Um, Without sufficient progesterone, estrogen can become dominant. And you hear that a lot too, estrogen dominance being a factor, leading to symptoms like bloating. You can have mood swings, heavy periods. Um, so progesterone decreases during perimenopause. That's one of the things that will definitely happen. As women approach perimenopause, progesterone levels drop significantly. And this is what is kind of contributing to that overall hormonal imbalance that we're experiencing in perimenopause. So progesterone does have a big impact on our mood regulation. So progesterone has anti-anxiety effects. Progesterone has a calming effect on the brain. It interacts with GABA receptors, and those are responsible for relaxation and reducing anxiety. It also helps to stabilize our moods. And this is the one thing I definitely noticed when I was entering perimenopause, my little fits of rage. Adequate progesterone levels help stabilize mood swings. They reduce irritability and emotional instability that often accompanies perimenopause. It's true, been there. Prevents estrogen dominant symptoms. So progesterone helps mitigate the symptoms of estrogen dominance. And when you do hear that term estrogen dominance, it just usually means that there is an imbalance. So it could just be that your progesterone's on the lower side and therefore estrogen is dominating things like the wild crazy twin. So anxiety, irritability, and depression are definitely more prevalent when you're in an estrogen dominant situation. So progesterone and sleep. So this is another big thing that progesterone helps us with. It's a natural sedative. So progesterone promotes restful sleep by its calming effect on the central nervous system. It enhances the effects of GABA. And GABA, if you aren't sure what that is, it's just a neurotransmitter that is known for helping sleep and inducing sleep. So again, back to perimenopause, a lot of women do report sleep disturbances. And this is as your progesterone levels are declining. Many women kind of report that insomnia. You can have that wired but tired feeling, or disrupted sleep patterns. That 2, 3 a.m. wake up is a lot more common when progesterone is starting its decline. So restoring that progesterone balance can definitely help sleep quality. All right, so those are the top 4 powerhouses of progesterone. April's going to take 5 through 8 here.
So I just wanted to touch on like what Trish said as we enter into perimenopause. It is actually very, very common for progesterone to start declining. And a lot of women have the misconception that we start entering into perimenopause and estrogen starts declining, which when we get into menopause, that is the case. But it's more often than not, and we see it with hormone testing, is it's actually progesterone that's giving off, some of the similar symptoms. But with that being said, progesterone, how does progesterone play an overall role with hormone balance? Number one is it supports thyroid function. Progesterone enhances the thyroid hormone sensitivity, supporting metabolism, energy levels, and weight regulation, which is a big complaint that we often hear. It helps reduce inflammation. Progesterone has anti inflammatory properties, which help reduce chronic inflammation that can actually worsen during perimenopause. It plays a role in bone health. Progesterone plays a role in maintaining bone density, which is critical as women age and estrogen levels start dropping. Now, with that being said, what are some of the symptoms of low progesterone in perimenopause? Now, keep in mind now, some of these that you'll hear are actually kind of crossover symptoms with low estrogen. So symptoms of low progesterone in perimenopause would be mood swings, anxiety, depression, insomnia or poor sleep quality, irregular or heavy periods, bloating, weight gain, and fluid retention. I was kind of struggling with that at one point. It just kind of felt like you were just inflamed, just always
Mhm.
feeling like a sausage on a day-to-day basis.
Puffy.
Um, Fatigue and low energy are another common complaint, and then brain fog and difficulty concentrating. And Trish and I were actually just having the conversation prior to going live about that. Now, how to support healthy progesterone levels? Now, obviously, we are all about natural diet, lifestyle, all of that first. So, in regards to diet, foods that are rich in zinc, magnesium, and vitamin B6 can support progesterone production. Seed cycling. We did a Facebook Live a couple weeks ago on seed cycling, and it's coming back in again. So that might be a sign for y'all to try it. Seed cycling, using seeds like flax and pumpkin during the follicular phase, and sunflower and sesame in the luteal phase can naturally support hormone balance. Um, Obviously, you have one of the top important keystone ones, which would be stress management. Chronic stress raises cortisol levels, which can actually steal resources from progesterone production. And I say this often, when cortisol is high, our sex production or sex hormone production slows down. Basically, cortisol is acting like a spoiled brat, and it's like, I've got the stage. I got the stage. I've been called on. Y'all need to sit down and wait your turn.
And
So
this, I feel like this goes back to like fertility too, because like think about it, if because progesterone has such a role in, creating a good, safe, healthy womb for a baby. And if your stress is very, very, very high, like, we wouldn't like fertility will be compromised because if you think of that's how we evolved, they weren't throwing
100.
babies into situations that were very high stress back in the day, and they still do
Exactly.
that.
Exactly. So incorporating stress reducing practices like meditation, deep breathing, yoga, all of those things are crucial. Now, herbal support, so supplements, herbs like chasteberry, vitex, also known as vitex, have been shown to support progesterone production. Now, when should you consider progesterone therapy? If lifestyle changes aren't enough, so if you're incorporating all the nutrients that support progesterone production in your diet, you're managing stress, you're getting regular exercise, you're focused on your sleep hygiene, all those things, and you're still struggling, then you may want to look into progesterone therapy. It may consider it to relieve symptoms of perimenopause and support overall hormone balance. Now, the big thing, I made a social media post the other day, and this is one of the biggest complaints that I see is I'm in a lot of different Facebook groups and a lot of perimenopause women, and a lot of women and even males too are going on HRT without any testing, y'all. Like it just it's a pet peeve of mine only because it is literally like throwing a handful of spaghetti noodles on the wall and hoping some of it sticks. Because when estrogen starts dropping and progesterone starts dropping, we're going to cross over and have similar symptoms. So I would highly suggest, if you've done all the lifestyle stuff and you're still struggling, get your hormones tested. If you have a good primary care physician. You can. I had someone ask me the other day, you want to have your estrogen. Most Western medicine primary doctors are not going to test all the different types of estrogens, but have your estrogen, progesterone, DHEA, and free testosterone tested just
Mhm.
to kind of see where you are. Trish and I both use the Dutch test because it gives us an indication as to the different types of estrogen, progesterone, DHEA, free testosterone, but it also tells us what your cortisol is doing.
Mhm.
So it does have the 4-point cortisol reading. So it tells us, like, is stress playing a key role with this?
Yeah.
And it also gives us insight as to your detox pathways, because for some people it's not a matter of producing the hormones, it's a matter that they have poor detox, so their body is not detoxing those unused hormones, and then it kind of causes a backup. So, with
Yeah.
that being said, if you are struggling and you've talked to your doctor and tried everything, or someone's just trying to, before you go and buy some estrogen at the drugstore or whatever, reach out. We can help, and we don't have to struggle anymore. But with that being said, I hope this was helpful for y'all, and everybody have a great week. Bye.
Hi.